So, you're a music producer stuck watching endless tutorials who struggles to finish quality songs on time. In this video, I'm going to show you the most effective way to master music production in 2025 and how you can easily overcome the fear of getting stuck, making mistakes, or even getting started in the first place. Let's start with an overlooked shortcut that'll easily save you 10 to 15 years of time, energy, and effort learning music production. Way back in 2019, I challenged myself to write and finish a new song every single week and then release whatever I had finished publicly here on YouTube. By the end of that year, I had leveled up my production skills massively, grew a small fan base, and had 52 finished demos at my disposal. I was then able to pick the best of those 52 songs and release them properly on Spotify. Those songs went on to get streamed over 6 million times, signed to record labels around the world, supported by powerhouse DJs, and placed on some pretty massive playlists. But what is the number one thing I learned from this experience? Well, I wish I challenged myself to do this sooner rather than waiting until I had been producing and playing around with music for almost 10 years already. So today, I want to challenge you to make this the year that you finally master music production for good. Let's move over to the blackboard to break this all down. Alright, so the idea here is simple, but the execution is probably where you might slip up. So my challenge to you is simple. This here is you on the left. And what I want to challenge you to do is I want you to spend 7 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, working on a song, and then on the very last day, I want you to release that song. So the idea is you have 7 days to completely finish the song as much as you can. So ideally, we'd be looking at like a fully layered song. I would say fully structured. And if possible, get like a mix and master done on it as well. So it's a challenge just to do it within 7 days. And on top of that, to take things to like the next level, I'd also recommend having the extra little bit of a challenge of actually releasing that song. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this. The releasing aspect, it could be just like YouTube. It could be on Bandcamp. It can even be dropping a clip on like Instagram or TikTok or whatever you want. But if you can actually be adding this as part of your challenge where you're also actually releasing whatever you're working on, knowing that it's a demo and maybe a work in progress and you can fix it up later and actually send it to labels or whatever you want to do. But adding this extra element is going to give you a little bit more accountability because each week you need to actually be finishing the song and actually putting it out there, and people are going to be expecting it. You're going to say it out loud. You're going to say, I'm putting out a new song each week. And when you don't do one, you're going to be held accountable because you're actually going to be slowly growing a fan base and having people like listen to what you're doing. And this is going to also really, really help because what this does is this is also going to create a feedback loop. And this way, as you're working on a song each week, you're putting it out there, you're trying out new ideas, and you're seeing what's working, whether it's like the view counts or like comments that you're getting. You're going to get direct feedback on what you're putting out. Obviously, maybe not at first if you're just starting out. You need to kind of build that audience up over time. When I did this a couple years back, I would say maybe 2 or 3 months in, I actually had people joining in. Basically, I would do like a YouTube premiere, live premiere kind of things, and I'd actually have people joining in. So it takes a little bit of time for that to build up. But the cool thing is you're going to learn a bunch of things. One is that you're going to get some feedback, some styles that you might be wanting to experiment with, particularly if you're one of those producers where you have the idea of like, oh, I want to try all these different genres. This gives you the opportunity to do that and see which genres you like more, and then also which genres audiences are digging more, which can be very important, particularly if you're taking this seriously, like I think most of you are if you're watching this video. Another thing too is, and this is really important, and this is a really big aspect of how you start to remove the idea of inspiration and writer's block. As you're doing this, like week and 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 week, maybe at the beginning you might be super energized, and then like, 4 or 5 weeks in, you might be like starting to hate it. And the goal is to keep continuing with this idea. Even if you're working on an idea, you have to finish it and get it released. And what you might find, and this is the craziest thing that I noticed and has changed my like my way of making music forever, is those songs that you think that are garbage and aren't even like worth working on. So you're working on it throughout the week and you're like, yeah, this sucks, I don't know, but I'm going to put it out anyways because I'm committed. You might find that some of those songs through this feedback loop here, when you actually release it, are people's favorite songs of yours, which is so strange. And what you also might find is as you're working on like new songs each week and you're loving it, you think it's going to be the most groundbreaking track you've ever made, through this feedback loop, you might find that those songs are the worst. And I've had these conversations with some of my friends, my buddy Pat and Shy Kids. Recently, we were at a rave and we were talking about some of this stuff. So we were a little bit more energized, I guess you can say. But it's so rare to have that balance of like a song that you like balanced with a song that the fans like. Usually it's not like it's very rare to have that connection where you're both happy with it. So that's a really important thing. It's a good way to actually make sure that you are staying accountable and releasing stuff. And also like it's so good for developing as an artist, learning that you don't need to rely on inspiration and that as you're getting better and better, even the stuff that you don't think is good, because you're constantly building your skills, what you think is bad is still good. And you're raising that threshold by constantly putting out songs. By constantly putting out songs like this, you're becoming a songwriter, not just one person who can write one song every 3 months. You're going to get a lot faster. And another extra little tip that I do have here, let me try to find like maybe a different color. It's something that I'd recommend as you're doing it is start very loose, right? So the first couple of weeks that you're working on stuff, this is the annual calendar here over here. It might be a little bit kind of crazy. Like you might kind of like start on a track and then build out the structure and then spend a lot of time mixing and then you end up and then you're done. And then each time you might try like a slightly different workflow and start maybe with the hook this time, then start the next time with the drums and then start the next time with like starting it as a remix. And you can try out a whole bunch of different ideas. And particularly if you commit to 52 weeks, like it's going to give you lots of chances to try out different things. What I'd recommend trying to eventually get to is something that I've talked about in some of my other courses that I have, which is the idea of like starting to almost systematize it. So the idea of, for me, this is what it looks like for me. My day actually usually starts like each week I'm usually finishing a track. I'm creating, it's based off of the Beatport Top 100 track. I'm remaking it. And then I'm also building it into a remix. And one thing that I'll usually do is I'll start mine. My day usually starts on Friday. And this is because it's the end of the week. I like starting new tracks on the end of the week. It's almost like refreshing, like a treat almost. And then also new tracks are coming out on Friday. So like there's the new release Friday songs coming out. A lot of artists just tend to drop stuff on Friday. So it's good for finding remix opportunities and seeing what's new. And then what I'll do on Monday is the super loop. Like I'll make a big loop, a lot of layers, just go crazy with that 8 to 16 bar loop. Then Tuesday, I'll do the arrangement. So I'll take that loop and stretch it out. Wednesday, I'm doing like final mix and master and just checking things out. And over time, I've been able to get it to basically a 4-step, 4-phase kind of process. Each one is an hour or so. And you can do something similar. As you're like making songs each week, slowly start to find patterns and see what works for you and doesn't work for you, and see ways that you can kind of start to make it easier and easier and easier each week, instead of every week you're kind of like randomly hitting the like what's the term reinventing the wheel each week. So you can slowly start to figure out ways to systematize it and create kind of processes. And if you're worried about things like, oh, I want to be some epic Shakespearean creator who every time the spark of love and music hits me and it's different every time because I'm so unique. I mean, that's cool, and like, but that's kind of not how life works. And you're almost giving into just like not having any control over the process, where having some limitations like this, having reliable systems, knowing what to work on next because you're kind of creating a process, is so much more useful and is going to be so much more impactful than you being some romantic artist that inspiration is striking. And I get it, everybody's different. But over on this channel, like, I'm going to teach what I think and how I feel about things. And what I've noticed after making music for fucking years is having some kind of limitations and some kind of process like this is so helpful, because it almost removes restrictions in a weird way, because then as you're working on the track and you kind of get a little lost and confused, and it happens. We're working on tracks, we get really creative and we get really into it, and then we've been listening to the same loop for 45 minutes or whatever it is, and we're like, okay, what do I do next? Having some kind of at least rough structure of like you start here and then you do the loop and then you do the arrangement or whatever it is for you gives you that ability to always kind of know what's next, and to stop yourself from being like, man, I've been spending a lot of time on the loop. It's pretty much done. I know that the next step's arrangement. I'm going to just move on to the next step. So I hope this kind of, it obviously looks like a messy craziness here, but the idea is I want you to start here, try to challenge yourself to finish a new song each week, and then at the end of each week, actually release it. And there's a bunch of great reasons of why it's super helpful. I've talked about them throughout this video. It's going to give you, it's going to level up your production skills. It's going to remove your dependency on things like writers, creative sparks and all that kind of stuff. There's so many great reasons for it. It's going to build an audience. It's going to improve your music production skill. It's going to turn you into somebody who can finish songs reliably instead of having to spend months and weeks or whatever and being completely out of control of the process. By doing something like this, trust me, it's challenging at first, but by doing something like this, you can really gain control of yourself as a creative, and the end result is amazing. And I highly recommend doing it for whether it's 3 weeks, whether it's for a month, whether you want to do a full 52 weeks, that's up to you. But having some kind of challenge like this, where you're really focusing on dialing in your music for some kind of time period, definitely would recommend it. And then to make things even easier for you, there's one more thing I want to go over, which is this right here. So if you didn't know, each week I finish a song, I recreate something from the Beatport Top 100 charts, and then usually turn it into some kind of remix, and then I throw it into a little Patreon style membership where each week I'm giving access to those project files. And I also have like extra little courses and all sorts of stuff like that. And this is something that I want to give as a new addition to that. So starting now, if you're in the membership, you can grab that, or you can check the description if you want to join. Super cheap, super, super awesome. And basically this is the 7 Days to Pro Modern Producers Bootcamp. And basically what this is a course that's available for everybody that's on the membership. It doesn't matter if you're on the super tier that gives you all the extra courses that I have, or not. And basically it's just going to go through a couple of really interesting things to help you along that journey of like the 52-week challenge, or however long you want to make it. So basically a little bit of an introduction here. And then what we have is a bunch of different assessments. So there's a little bit of a way to reflect on your music a little bit, and then do a little, create a custom plan basically with this little form. Once you go through that, you're going to unlock the next page, which is going to give you a rough idea of the instructions here, which is to finish the song as best you can within 7 days, export it out before the 7th day, and then submit that song in assessment 1. And so what we'll have a look at here, and little teaser here, because I think it's really cool. When you add that song in the assessment, each one of these pages in this course only unlock when you do the previous assessment. So you have to create your little custom plan. It takes maybe a minute or two, but it is fun because you want to reflect on your previous work and have some ideas of how you can improve it. That unlocks the ability to move on through the course. And then each time there's going to be 3 assessments that you go over. And it's super simple. It's basically 7 days, finish that song, throw it into like a Google Drive or a Dropbox or whatever. And let me show you what it looks like. So it just looks like this, and you just paste your link in here and you press submit. And then each time what will happen is when you submit the assessment, it's going to unlock the next lesson. And each one of these lessons, I've included some kind of guide or course that I have that I sell for like between like $50 or $75 US dollars. And it's going to be completely free for you, or yours to keep. So normally you have to spend extra to get access to these courses, but I'm making it so the lowest tier thing on the membership, whatever you want to call it, the Patreon, if you go through this and you commit to submitting songs each week, I'm going to keep unlocking new courses that will help you make this easier. So one of them here is this time management guide. It's a bunch of different ways that you can take control of your time each week to be able to spend more time on music production and more time on your music career. So obviously something like that's going to be super useful if you are working on finishing a song each week, right? So each one of these, you get 3 assessments, so 3 songs that you could submit. I actually have the ability to look at them, so if I have time, then I will have a look at the songs. But mostly this is like an accountability thing for you and a little bit of a carrot at the end of it. So there's how to finally have enough time for music without stress or sacrifice. When you do the second assessment, it's going to unlock this one. 85% of artists get this wrong and must work a 9 to 5 forever. And then on the third week, if you submit a song, you're going to learn how to actually get your music heard without wasting time or energy. Each one is a $50 to $75 course or guide that's going to help you in this goal. And so it's a fun way for you to be a bit more accountable and also have a little bit of extra carrot to work through it, because ultimately that's what I'm trying to do with all of this stuff, this YouTube channel, this kind of Patreon stuff, is to give you more tools to be more creative and put out music more. And this idea, the 52-week challenge, it started everything for me. It's changed everything for me. And I know it can change everything for you too. So I definitely recommend committing to it. You don't have to join a membership or a Patreon that I have and get access to this to get started. You can get started right away. That's the main thing. If you want to join, if you head over to the link in the description, you can get access to the Ultimate Producers Toolkit, which will get you in the system that I have here. It's free and it gives you a bunch of cool things. A song finishing checklist, a bunch of samples, racks, and presets that I use, a mix and mastering checklist, all sorts of stuff. This is free and you get access to, if you saw there's a whole bunch of other free resources that I've been building up in this cool little custom Patreon thing. But then if you also join the membership, you get access to all of these song remakes and templates that I'm adding in each week. And you've been seeing the track breakdowns on YouTube if you've been subscribed. And then also all these extra new things like tools for bass and kick stealing stuff and arrangement structure packs and my template. And I'm going to be adding in a music theory sheet that I'm using. And we're going to be adding in this course that I just showed you as well, will be available as well. And if you want to check that out, it's bestfriendsclub.ca/join. Both links to the free one and to the membership is in the description. But regardless, my challenge is you get out there, make music, do it in a week if you can. Give yourself some kind of goal, a month, half a year, a year. This is what's going to get you ahead, and what's going to really make your music career start to happen is when you can actually be finishing songs and you're a songwriter and you're a producer. And yeah, I've been rambling. I'm pretty excited about this idea. It's really important. I really hope that you consider it at the very least. Commit to making music, and then watch everything else great happen around you. I've definitely seen it happen to me, and I've seen it happen to others. So now you should know the most effective way to master music production in 2025, as well as how you can easily overcome the fear of getting stuck, making mistakes, or even getting started in the first place. Now, if you want to save time by downloading the template in this video, there's a link in the description and on screen now to grab not only that, but also over 30 full Ableton project files based on tracks from the Beatport Top 100 charts, with new files being added weekly. Seeing in detail how professional songs are composed, mixed, mastered, and structured is one of the best ways to fast track your productions to a quality level of the pros. If you're not quite ready for that and want to learn more right here on YouTube first, check out this completely free playlist of videos that will reveal innovative new ways to finish pro-level songs faster than any other way that you've tried before.